Hello, I'm Jenny Amar from Sunshine Teachers Training, and I'd like to welcome you to our training room, our classroom, to give you some tips and tools for doing Montessori the right way in your homes and in your schools. And today we're going to be talking about the principles of setting up a Montessori prepared environment shelf in your home or in your school. The practical life area is a brilliant place to begin to set up and begin Montessori in your own environments. It's easy to put together. However, there are some principles that one needs to know so that we set it up in the right way, and that's what I'm here to talk to you about today. One thing to keep in mind is that each material must be meaningful and have a definite purpose. All right? Now I want you to have a look at my shelf here, all right? And every material that we have there has a purpose. It's either spooning or dry pouring or wet pouring. There is a specific lesson being taught, and everything that's there is something that's real and true, that feels like a real activity, that brings meaning to the child's life. The lesson or the difficulty that the child must learn lies in a single piece of material. The reason for this is because once a child has mastered an activity that has one lesson in it, I can say for sure he knows how to spoon, or he knows how to do dry pouring, or he knows how to do wet pouring. But if there are too many things in there, I don't know exactly which lesson my child has mastered and what he's good at. Okay? Take for example the stacking rings. I'm sure you've all seen them, the colorful donuts. We stack them. They're different colors, they're different sizes. Sometimes they come in different shapes, sometimes they come with different textures and noise. If my child is working with that, how do I know which is the concept that he's come away with? What is the lesson that he's come away with? Is it size? Is it color? Is it shape? What is his learning from that? If I've isolated my lesson or my discovery into one particular concept, I can say for sure that my child has mastered this. When we lay out our materials on the shelf, they progress from simple to complex. We start with spooning, which is the easiest and requires the least amount of concentration. We then progress to dry pouring, then wet pouring, transferring, pegging, and so on. It gets progressively more complex, so it's simple to complex throughout each of the areas. In addition, we start from spooning one bowl to another bowl, spooning from one bowl to two equal bowls, spooning from one bowl to two unequal bowls, spooning into a bowl that has an indicator line. So even on each shelf, it is going from simple to complex. Keep that in mind when putting your materials on the shelves. The Montessori practical life materials are designed to prepare children for future learning. So while on the surface it looks like a child has done a spooning activity, all right, but there's so many other things that he's learning, many skills he's developing that's going to help him in language, in math, in life. For example, when we spoon, we hold the spoon like this. The fingers that I'm using are the same ones I will use to hold a pencil. We call this the pincer grip. So the child is strengthening and refining his or her own pincer grip for future learning when he has to hold a pencil. When we spoon, we move from left to right. This is the same way that we read and write in English, from left to right. So indirectly, the child is being prepared for language once again. His hands and his eyes are also coordinating to do the activity correctly. And this is another skill we need when we're writing, for our hands and our eyes to coordinate when I'm using a pencil. In addition to this, the child is developing math skills because he's learning about volume, transferring one volume to another one, taking up that same space. He's also developing a sense of order. He's becoming independent. He's growing in concentration. How do we expect a child to concentrate on a 20-minute activity or a workbook that's going to take him 15 minutes if he's not able to concentrate for 2 minutes yet? The Montessori materials are designed for auto education, and every material has what we call a control of error, so that the child can see his own mistake, figure out where he's gone wrong and fix it himself, and through that he improves and he learns. So for example, if the child is spooning and he happens to make a mistake and there's some spillage, he heard the noise, he can see visually that I've made a mistake, and he will fix his mistake. This classroom is a safe place to make mistakes, because mistakes are the best way for any human being to learn. Any contraption that we use, anything we're wearing, anything we're sitting on, the chairs you're sitting on, the phone that you're watching this on, it was all created by making many, many mistakes, because through our mistakes we improve and we grow and we perfect ourselves. When we prepare materials to put on the shelf, we must make sure that the materials are intact. That means that whatever objects are needed in a particular piece of material must always be there. For example, I have a material here, okay, that has a jug. We've got a container with an indicator line. I've got a sponge as well as a funnel. Now, when children work with materials, at the end of the day, it's never the way we set it up. Things get misplaced, things are across the room. Our job every single day to make sure that all elements are back in the tray where they belong, because this ensures that the child will have a complete work cycle. So when he picks up a piece of material and he brings it to the mat, he doesn't get to a point where he realizes, oh, something's missing, what's gone wrong? And then his work cycle is broken, his concentration is broken, and he gets up to look for something. So it's our job as teachers, as parents, to make sure that the material is intact. All material must be grouped appropriately. Like I spoke to you before and said that we have it going from easiest to most difficult. So again, we must arrange our material. At the end of the day, things are moved about. Children don't always put things back in the place where they belong. We have to make sure that everything goes in order. This helps the child organize his or her learning and take control of their own education and experiences. Materials must always be kept within the reach of children. There should never come a point where children come to you and say, Miss, can you take this for me? Miss, I can't reach that. Mommy, I cannot hold this. Can you carry it for me? Can you give me something that's kept out of their reach? Children, independence is core to Montessori, and if we want them to be independent, then everything has to be within their reach. When choosing your materials, make sure that you choose things that are child-sized. I've seen in many homes or in many schools, they are using materials which are too big for the children, and the children struggle to complete an activity. It doesn't give them full control. It hampers with their learning experience. So make sure that your materials are child-sized. Make sure that the materials are clean, they are intact, no chips, no cracks, very well maintained. Make sure that your materials represent different qualities, perhaps different weights, different colors, different materials. For example, you could have some materials made of coconut wood, which is something natural that we find here in Indonesia. There could be some made of steel, some are transparent glass, some are melamine, so that they're exposed to different weights and different qualities. There's an appreciation of beauty. They get to use different items. The exposure is there to different real things in this environment. Our materials are always limited in quantity. What that means is there's always one of every item. Just because a particular activity is popular, it doesn't mean that I have to add many of them or repetitions of them. There is one of every material, because this is what encourages children to learn about sharing, cooperating, and taking turns in a very natural way. They have to collaborate and decide, should we work together? Should we share this? Should I wait for you to finish? And they learn some very important problem-solving skills in the process. The materials must always be available to the child at the time that he or she decides to perform them. Children wake up in the morning and they know, I'm going to school, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to school today and I'm going to do pouring, or I'm going to do sweeping. And they come to school and they go straight for that activity. Now, for some reason, if you have not put that material out, they come to look for it and they don't see it. It disturbs something inside them. They don't think my teacher has taken it away. They start thinking, why can't I find it? They start looking for it, they get upset, somebody might have a tantrum, somebody may become very quiet. It basically creates a feeling of disruption in your classroom. It upsets the child inside. It's important to make sure that all your materials are there and available for the children, because it's their inner guide that's pushing them to reach out and work with this. I hope that these tips that I've shared with you today will help you in setting up your practical life area in the right way, so that you can see all the wonderful benefits of Montessori coming out in your children, in your homes and in your schools. Till the next time, bye.